Let me ask you a question. Do you ever have a feeling or smelled something that instantly triggered a memory? Maybe it reminded you of a person, maybe someone that's no longer here. Not in a dramatic way, just sudden, quiet, unexplainable. A lot of people experience this but never talk about it. But what happens when those moments follow a pattern? The day my mother passed away, my youngest son at the time was away in the military. And this is important. When this happened, he didn't know yet that my mom had passed. Before anyone told him, before grief even entered the room, he told me he had smelled my mother's perfume that day. Strong, familiar, and completely unexplainable. There's a scientific explanation on why scent is so powerful. It's called the Proust Phenomenon. Named after Marcel Proust, the Proust Phenomenon describes how smell can instantly trigger vivid and emotional memories. Unlike sight or sound, smell bypasses the brain's rational processing center. It goes straight to the limbic system, the part of the brain that's responsible for memory and emotion. That's why a single scent can bring back moments from decades ago in full detail. The Proust phenomenon explains why memories can be triggered by scent. What it doesn't do is explain why that scent appears when there's no physical source. Science explains the mechanism, but it doesn't explain the timing. In many documented cases, these experiences happen before the person knows that someone has died or long after grief has passed. Expectation isn't present, which removes one of the most common explanations. Years earlier, in 2003, after my grandmother passed away, my mother told me something that never left me. She said she could hear her mother call her name from down the hall. Not yelling, not distressed, just calling in the same way she always had. Across cultures and decades, people report hearing the same thing. A familiar voice, calm, brief, personal. When these experiences are cataloged, the same characteristics appear again and again. No spectacle, no repetition, no demand for attention, just recognition. I didn't ask artificial intelligence what this was. I asked it to analyze what humans often overlook: patterns, timing, and possible function.
Auditory and olfactory experiences occur most frequently in post-death anomalous reports. Visual manifestations are comparatively rare.
Whatever this is, it avoids being seen.
Stronger correlation exists with transitional moments or unanticipated emotional need rather than grief intensity.
Timing matters more than emotion.
Familiar sensory stimuli reduce resistance and increase receptivity. Experiences aligned with need suggest reassurance or attention-directing behavior rather than random recall. Hallucinations linked to grief typically involve expectation or heightening emotional states. Reports occurring without these factors are statistically less common.
There's another experience I haven't talked about yet. I was working my dispatcher job with another dispatcher when out of nowhere, I smelled a distinct smell of cigarette smoke. I actually said it out loud. I smell cigarette smoke. There was no one smoking, no one in the building, no one that even smoked at all around. My partner said something simple. She said, maybe a past family member is visiting you. Immediately, one person came to mind. My mother-in-law had passed away and she was an avid smoker. Months earlier, a medium had told me, if you ever smell a random cigarette smell out of nowhere, that might be her. I didn't live my life waiting for that to happen, but in that moment, I called my wife. When she answered the phone, she was crying. She told me she was very upset about something, and at that very moment, she needed to talk to me. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. The Proust Phenomenon explains why memories can be triggered by scent. It doesn't explain why memories show up right when they're needed. Coincidence is easy to accept until timing starts to feel purposeful. It isn't proof of ghosts, it isn't evidence of afterlife, and it isn't rejection of psychology. Science explains how the brain works. It doesn't always explain why something happens when it does. I don't know what my son smelled was my mother. I don't know what my mother heard was her mother. And I don't know what that cigarette smoke truly was. But I do know this. Whatever those moments were, they didn't feel random. If this conversation made you stop and think, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It helps more than you realize, and it lets me know that these kind of conversations are worth having.